What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly Sports History for November 13th, 2023. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. We're officially done with the bye week. It is Chiefs week, Monday Night Football, Super Bowl rematch, getting into the gauntlet part of the schedule, however you want to word it. More on that in a minute. First, let's recap yesterday's question of the day. I asked, how do you spend the bye week? And as expected, the answers were all over the board, from doing stuff with the family, yard work, winterizing the house, watching football. And it was nice to just be able to watch football and just sort of not have the stress of an Eagles game. I was able to go out and catch up with some friends, just watching. Some of the games were good, like the Baltimore-Cleveland game, the Cincinnati-Houston game. So good to just get out and see some people that I haven't seen in a while. So always good for the bye week, but now we focus strictly on Kansas City. Like I said, Super Bowl rematch, getting into the gauntlet part of our schedule between KC, Buffalo, the Niners, and then the Cowboys. It's we got a nice little run of games here, but this is this is what you play for. This is what we sort of expected going into it. I think going into it, we're as good a shape as we could be, 8-1. And I see a lot of polls, how many they got to win. And I don't think there's a specific number as of right now they need to win. It just depends on the games they lose. Like if they lose to KC and Buffalo, but beat the Cowboys and Seattle, or the Cowboys, or beat Seattle and the Niners, or win 2 of the 3 NFC games, it's okay. I'd rather lose the KC Buffalo game if they're going to lose. I think what's lost in all of this, I'm anxious to see how Buffalo plays tonight, but we're a good team too, and I think that gets often overlooked, that like, hey, Buffalo has to play us. Kansas City has to play us. I mean, I think that's just sort of that shift in mindset. Yes, they're going to be tough games, don't get me wrong, but more on the game and everything as we go. It's a Monday night game, so another Sunday without Eagles football. But that's okay. Speaking of the Cowboys, big win over the Giants. Whoop-de-doo. Tommy DeVito was quarterback. Okay, great. You blew out the Giants. But all of a sudden now all the cockroach fans are crawling back out and say, we them boys, we're back. And truthfully, that's going to lead us to today's question of the day. The next 4 games for the Cowboys, they have the Panthers, Washington, the Seahawks, and then the Eagles. Question of the day, do we need to worry about the Cowboys? Yes, we have the 2-game lead on them right now, but is this something that we need to sort of watch and monitor moving forward over this next 4 or 5 game stretch? I don't know. I don't think so, because they also have, after this little stretch, they have the Seahawks, Eagles, Bills, Dolphins, Lions. So they have their own little stretch coming up after this. So let me know. Are the Cowboys, should we be worried about the division at this point? I know right now we have the lead for the number 1 seed. 2-game lead over the Niners, 2-game lead over the Cowboys. But should we be concerned about the Cowboys for the division? That is today's question of the day. Also, recapping our bet from yesterday, I'm going to count it as a push, depending on what sportsbook you use and when you bet it. We did say I like the Lions minus the 3. I was able to get it at 2.5. So technically I won, and depending on, I bet it after I gave it out on the podcast. So depending on where you got it, you may have won money like I did, but I'll count it officially as a push at the minus 3, since that's what I said. Brings our record for this year 8-4-1. Much better than what we were doing last year, so I will take it. But be sure to let me know about the question of the day. Do we need to worry about the Cowboys for the division title based on the way the schedules are lining up, or will it all even out in the end? If you're listening on Spotify or watching on Spotify, be sure it's going to be the question there. Hit me up on social media at Jimbo_Mont on Twitter, as well as TikTok or X, however you want to call it. To me, if I can still log in, it's twitter.com, and it takes me to the site. It's Twitter. or send me a text message, hit me up on Facebook, wherever. Let me know. Should we be concerned right now about the Cowboys moving forward? I mentioned I got to hang out with some friends yesterday. Some of the guys were from the Clashing Conferences podcast. Good to see those guys. A lot of my oldest friends. They're doing a good job over there, so be sure to check them out, the Clashing Conferences podcast. They're getting better each week, and just the way the guys have really taken on the personalities of their teams is kind of funny. I got some things lined up with the producer over there. Not sure what yet, but a couple meetings lined up with him. But be sure to go check out the Clashing Conferences podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. And hopefully you did some shopping yesterday. If you didn't, it's still not too late. Go to phillygoat.com. Do some Christmas shopping. They have the biggest selection of, and best selection, I should say, too, of Philly sports-based apparel. I've been telling you about the Mega John shirt. Mine's coming. My hoodie's coming today. I can't wait. I'll wear it on the pod tomorrow, barring any delays with the post office. But it should be here tomorrow, according to the email I got, or today. So I should be able to wear it tomorrow. But go check them out. They do make great Christmas presents. Get shirts, hoodies, whatever you want. The new shirt is Our Center is Sexier Than Yours, with a picture of Jason Kelce. Like, it's these guys, like Ryan does an incredible job with shirts. So go check them out. Get your Kelce shirt, your Mega John shirt, whatever. Do some Christmas shopping. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery, 10% off of your order. That's phillygoat.com. Promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off of your order. All right, Sixers news. Great win yesterday. And Indiana likes to run, and Sixers certainly ran with them. What a great game for Maxey. He had 50 points. He turned it into a superstar right in front of us. I mean, I think it was his fourth year anyway, and I saw an interview with Daryl Morey who said a lot of times guys, first year, second year, third year, that's sort of where they go. And he's like, the better players get so much better into the fourth year, and that's sort of the difference, I guess, between a average player and a superstar. But I feel like 9 games into the season, Tyrese Maxey is turning into a superstar right in front of our face. That little step back Jay, I feel like he took that from James Harden. It's like Allo on the broadcast yesterday, he's like, how do you guard that? He's playing great defense, getting back, hustling. I mean, he's distributing the ball well. I mean, I just think between him and Joe, like, all of a sudden, man, we thought, like, they look like a good, complete team. I mean, everybody kind of buys in and knows what their role is. It's incredible to see. And when you have Maxey scoring almost 30 points a game, Joe scoring almost 30 points a game, and then it depends on whatever night, Toby, Oubre before he got hurt, like all of that stuff. Like, it's great to see. Everybody kind of fits a role, and Nick Nurse 100% has this team rolling. I think the chemistry is good. It's almost like a weight has been lifted between Doc and James Harden. The weight has been lifted off of the Sixers. And I feel like the sky's the limit, and now they have assets, so they certainly, in my opinion, need to be in the conversation for Eastern Conference, best teams in the Eastern Conference. And speaking of Oubre, apparently he suffered a couple broken ribs, not as bad, I guess, as it could have been, but what a just shitty situation. I mean, and the fact that it was hit and run, and I haven't heard any updates on whether they're trying to get the guy, but man, what a just terrible situation to be in. Wish him the best and a speedy recovery. Luckily, and as bad as this is going to sound, luckily it's only a couple broken ribs. It could have been way worse. So speedy recovery to you, KO, as they called him. But good win for the Sixers. Off tonight. They play tomorrow for their next Pacers again for their next in-season tournament. And again, it's just I like the tournament. I just wish it was later in the season, but oh well. Flyers news: Roman Cechmanek, former goalie, passed away yesterday. No real details on what happened there. Want to send condolences out to his family. He had a good little stretch for the Flyers during his time here. I think he played like 3 or 4 seasons. So Condolences to Roman Cechmanek and Roman Cechmanek's family, and not sure really what happened, but still sad. He was doing some coaching over in the Czech Republic, so condolences and prayers to his family. All right, today we're going to go back to 1994, and on this day, November 13th, 1994, the Eagles lost to the Cleveland Browns 26-7 in a battle of 7-2 teams. That 94 Browns team was coached by one Bill Belichick. Von Hebron scored the only touchdown for the Eagles. It was 13-7 at half, and then it went all downhill from there, literally, for the Eagles. So not only did they lose to the Browns 26-7 on this day, that was the first of 7 straight losses to end the season. They went 7-2 and ended up going 7-9 that season. And I mean, everybody thinks like that collapse was like, oh, they were getting blown out. I mean, their average loss was 8.7 points that year. So like during that losing streak, and then 4 of those games during the losing streak were only by a touchdown or less. I mean, and they came out lights out at the beginning of that season, and then it just, like I said, spiraled out of control from there. Obviously, it ended up costing Rich Kotite his job, and it really changed the course of his entire career, because then he went to the Jets for 2 years and went 3-13 and 1-15. And you got to think, if he'd have won 1 or 2 more games during that 94 season, maybe his job was saved. And I mean, say what you want about him, he actually didn't do that bad as an offensive coordinator for a couple years. It just bad luck with injuries with Randall during that stretch with Rich Kotite, but it did lead to the Andy Reid era and Donovan, so we can't necessarily we had to go through Rich Kotite to get to Ray Rhodes, which led us to Andy Reid. But I mean, ultimately that tailspin too lasted from 94 all the way to 2000. I mean, yeah, there was a couple playoff spots in there, but they were not an elite team or a good team even. But on this day back in 1994, Eagles lose to the Browns, kicking off a 7-game losing streak in a season where they started off 7-2. Just ridiculous. But that's what happens when Rich Kotite is your coach. If your car is anything like mine, your kids have utterly destroyed the back seat. That's where Car Can comes in. It's a trash can. It's a storage bin. It's a cooler. Whatever you need, just get it. They have bags you put in. Have them kids put the trash in, take them out, help make it a chore for them. Whatever you need to do, but don't have kids. Your car's probably not messy, but maybe you need some help organizing it. They have a wide selection of car organizational items, stuff for your trunk, the trash cans. Go check out carcan.com. Makes a great gift, especially for the people at the office. Carcan.com. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery 20 off, all one word, for 20% off of your order. They're only $9.99, so buy multiple ones. They give you a discount, and then you get cheaper shipping as well. Carcan.com. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery 20 off for 20% off of your order. There's also a link in the description. All right. Finally, today, we're going to wrap up with our Philly sports most disappointing athletes. Today, we're going to go to the Sixers, and we're going to go to Elton Brand. Might sound familiar because of his current role as the GM, but back in 2008, they signed him to a 5-year, $80 million deal. Coming into it, he was a career 20-10 scorer with the Clippers, and I believe he had a couple years with the Bulls. But, I mean, a solid guy, and instantly I remember coming in, or when they brought him in, the Sixers instantly became contenders because they had Iguodala. They had a good young core with a lot of guys that are still in the league, like Thad, not Thad. Well, I think Thad Young is still in the league, but Drew Holiday, AI, like they had a good core, and he was supposed to put them over the top. Injuries kind of plagued him throughout his Sixers career. Only ended up playing 4 years of that 5 years. They've released him under the amnesty clause, which I don't even know is a thing anymore, but basically, like, we're going to cut you and just take a minimum cap hit or whatever it was. But yeah, like I said, averaged 20 and 10 before he came to the Sixers. With the Sixers, he averaged 12 and 7. He just was never the same player he was with the Clippers. And they gave him 4 years. He even came back for a fifth year late in his career, played, I think, like 17 games, and then retired before moving into the various front office roles with the Sixers. But man, excuse me, talk about a guy that came in with a ton of hype. And just, again, the Sixers always do this to me. They get me hyped up, and I fall for it every time, like Lucy and Charlie Brown with the football. But Elton Brand was definitely one of those guys that got me hyped up because he was one of the few Duke guys that made it to the league that actually was pretty successful. A lot of times those guys come in and they don't necessarily live up to the hype. But Brand, I mean, he was a 20 and 10 scorer. Supposed to make a difference for the Sixers in the Eastern Conference because back then the Eastern Conference was still a little bit weaker. It just never really panned out. And now he's in a general manager role. Don't know how much he's doing now. I mean, Daryl Morey. I mean, I don't hate the guy. I just hate the way his playing career ended up with the Sixers. But today's Philly sports most disappointing athlete is Elton Brand. Played 4 years for the Sixers, 12 points a game, 7 rebounds after coming in with a lot of hype and averaging 20 and 10. And just another in a long line of Sixers failures. They always got me hyped up, but doing a decent job, I guess, as the general manager. So we'll give him the benefit of the doubt there. On this day, back in 1994, the Eagles lost to the Browns 26-7, starting a 7-game losing streak to finish the season 7-9 in a season where they were 7-2 at one point. Sixers a day off before they play tomorrow against the Pacers again for in their NBA in-season tournament. We'll get it out there. So Maxey, superstar in the making. I think he's there. Like, he's just exploding, and I love every second of it. Don't forget to let me know the question of the day. Should the Eagles be worried about the Cowboys in the NFC East based on the way the schedule right now is lining up? Let me know. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History. I'm Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Monday, and until next time, I'll see you when I see you.